Hello everyone, Charles Watts here. Welcome back to Inside Arsenal. Welcome to a very sunny but cold Goodison Park where it's finished here. Everton 1, Arsenal 1. The last time Arsenal ever play at this famous old ground. And from a fan point of view, I'm going to miss it. From a journalistic point of view and from a work point of view, can't say I'm going to miss this press box too much. It is very, very cramped. It's not that you'll be able to tell from here. But yeah, 1-1 draw here at Goodison Park. More drop points for Arsenal. Another draw for Arsenal, kind of the story of the season. Another game that they've led but not been able to go on and win the game. I have to admit, I think they've been a little bit harshly done by here with the penalty decision that led to Everton's equaliser early in the second half. Miles Lewis-Skelly judged to have brought down Jack Harrison, I think it was, and not for me, I have to say. I haven't seen the replays. I think it's at least very, very, very soft. It's really, really harsh. If anything, I think Jack Harrison fouls Lewis-Skelly outside the box, and then as Lewis-Skelly's sort of falling over under the sort of challenge where he's been pushed down by Harrison, Harrison just tumbles down as soon as he gets into the penalty area. It's a penalty that Harrison definitely won, and I think it was a little bit harsh. You could see Lewis-Skelly was very, very disappointed. I haven't heard yet what Mikel Arteta's had to say afterwards, but I imagine he's going to feel pretty aggrieved by that penalty decision. Kind of story of Arsenal's season, really. But there's no injuries. I don't think there's any injuries anyway at the moment. And I think that's probably the most important thing from this game. It was a game that Arteta used to rotate his squad ahead of the Real Madrid match on Tuesday night. 5 changes from the team that won against Fulham in midweek. Partey on the bench, Saka on the bench, Martinelli on the bench, Martin Odegaard on the bench. So he did make some changes. We saw Ben White come in and start, which was good. Timber was on the bench, so at least he was fit enough to come up here. He did get half an hour late on, but Ben White got 60 minutes as well. Kivior came in and got a start and played well. I think he was named man of the match by TNT. So if he does start against Real Madrid, you think this performance would have done him a lot of good alongside William Saliba in that. I thought it was solid. Jakub Kivior. So there were some positives to take from it, but it's still a league game. It's still a game you want to win, and the fact that Arsenal didn't manage to do that, they'll be disappointed, I'm sure, going home, especially as they had the lead. But I just think the penalty decision was really, really harsh. To be fair, though, Arsenal had chances to go on and win it after that. I think that was the only shot in open play that Everton had. Maybe. Oh no, I think there might have been a couple other. There was one. I think Doucouré had a shot in open play, but other than that, I think all of their efforts came from set pieces. They never looked like scoring, which was a disappointing thing, to be sort of gift wrapped and handed a penalty like that. But Arsenal had chances to go on and win the game afterwards. Odegaard at the near post after he'd come on, got it all wrong from a Tierney cut back. Another good Tierney ball, set up a good chance for Marino about 5 minutes to go. He headed that wide. Martinelli had a good shot that was well saved from Pickford. If anyone was going to go on and win this game, it was Arsenal, but they just couldn't take the chances that came their way after having been pegged back. And that goal, the penalty, came so early in the second half as well, which I think that will probably disappoint Arteta. There's things that Arsenal could have done better in the run-up to that penalty. I think it was Kivior maybe who let the ball bounce, and then Lewis-Skelly let the ball bounce and let Harrison get goal side. So I'm not absolving them of any blame for that situation, but I just feel when you look at the decision and what's it given for and what you've seen, players get away with in the penalty area and all things like that, for that to be given as a penalty. And this was from Darren England, the referee, who was on VAR when Lewis-Skelly was sent off against Wolves, by the way. I just think if you're going to give a penalty in a game like that, you've got to give them. It's just so soft to be giving a team a free shot at goal from 12 yards or something like that. But it is what it is, and it's. I think this was the 4th final game at Goodison Park for these Everton fans, and I hope this season finishes well for them. They enjoy it because this is such a great old stadium. I love coming here. Again, apart from sitting in the press box, but I love coming here. The noise in here is always fantastic. The atmosphere was really good in here today, and so yeah, the Everton fans go home happy, and the Arsenal fans, I think, were not overly disappointed with what they saw here. They gave the team a good send off at the end of the game. Obviously, they'd be a lot happier if they were going back to London with 3 points, but it is just a 1 point. But there's no injuries, and like I said, with that Real Madrid game looming large, I think there are a few positives to take from that. Right, let's go into some player ratings now, shall we then? Lots of 6s and 7s in this, no one above a 7, which I think sort of tells the story of the game. David Raya in goal made one save from Doucouré, and their one sort of shot on target soon after the equaliser went the wrong way for the penalty, gave him a 6. Right back, Ben White got about 60 minutes, which was a positive, no doubt about that. Some really nice overlaps early on in the first half, which was really nice to see because we just haven't seen that for a long, long time. And I think he set up a chance early on that Sterling ended up having a shot saved from, or having a shot blocked from, and getting on the overlap, which is what you want to see from Ben White. So these are valuable minutes for him. Whether it's enough for him to start against Real Madrid, we'll have to wait and see on Tuesday night. But I liked what I saw from Ben White. I gave him a 6. Saliba and Kivior, I thought were very, very good. I mean, they gave Everton basically nothing in that game, snuffed out any sort of danger that came their way. You could see that Saliba was really sort of encouraging Kivior and getting him through the game. This is Kivior's first start in a long, long time in the Premier League anyway. And I thought he did well. One brilliant block in the first half, actually, which was a really dangerous situation that Everton had worked the way in. And they got a shot from the edge of the box and Kivior flung himself at it. It was a really good block. So I gave the two of those a 7. Luis Skelly, I gave a 7. Obviously, gave away the penalty, if you can call it that. But even made one spectacular run in the second half that ended in him being fouled just on the edge of the box. Brilliant run from Luis Skelly. Just held off so many challenges, so much strength, pace, drove forward. I gave him a 7. In midfield, we had Jorginho, who was, did what Jorginho usually does, move the ball well, tired in the second half. Always looks like he's going to get done when the ball goes behind him because he doesn't have the legs anymore to chase back. But when he's on the ball, when he's moving it, and he's always neat and tidy. He's still a very clever player. I gave him a 6. Declan Rice, I gave a 6. Not Rice's best game. He's been in excellent form of late, but I didn't think this was up to his top standards. Didn't think it was bad by any means, but I just gave him a 6. Marino, again, a 6. It's kind of the story of the midfield there for Arsenal, just 3 6s. And when that's the case, it's just, you're not going to create too much, I don't think. And it wasn't a very creative-minded midfield anyway when you're talking about Rice, Marino, and Jorginho. So I gave Marino a 6 as well. I mean, in terms of duels and winning possession, Marino was an absolute beast. I saw a stat just before I came on here about the amount of duels that he won, aerial duels and ground duels. It was ridiculous. So he did his job in that regard. Took a nasty whack to the head as well, which he sort of played through. He had to have a load of Vaseline on his head to stop the bleeding. So I gave him a 6. In terms of the attack that started, Maneri just very sort of subdued and quiet. He was replaced at half-time, just couldn't get into the game at all. I gave him a 5. On the other side, Sterling, I gave a 6. He set up the goal for Trossard with a good run and pass for Trossard. It's still painful trying to watch him take on a fullback. He really struggles at that nowadays. But I gave him a 6. At least he got an assist. And Trossard, I gave a 7. Nice finish from Trossard. Could maybe have had another one late on in the second half. I felt he could have gone down and won a penalty in that instant, but he hurdled the challenge Tarkowski and then sort of toe poked his shot, which Pickford saved. So I gave Trossard a 7. 5 changes in the second half. Trying to remember who they are now off the top of my head. Saka and Martinelli both came on at half-time. Saka couldn't really get in the game. Didn't really get much joy down that right-hand side at all when he was on the ball. Martinelli, I thought, was more threatening, had a shot that was saved by Pickford and got himself into some dangerous areas down that left-hand side. So I gave Martinelli a 7, Saka a 6. Martin Odegaard came on, missed a good chance, wasn't really in the game, gave Odegaard a 5. Tierney only on for 15 minutes, but set up two good chances for Marino and for Odegaard as well with his deliveries from the left. So I gave Tierney a 7, even though he was only on the pitch for about 15 minutes or 20 minutes if you count injury time. Just thinking, I think there was one other sub, wasn't there? I'm just trying to remember who it was. Jurian Timber, of course, he came on for Ben White about half an hour to go when White started to tire. Solid as always. Timber, nothing spectacular, but Timber does what Timber does best and just didn't let anyone get past him. Solid performance from him. So that's kind of the story of the game today. Not really much happened. Wasn't a thriller. Game Arsenal should have won. Game Arsenal feel they definitely should have won. I'm sure they'll go home a little bit disappointed of it, but there was no injuries, and now all eyes turn to Real Madrid. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Join me in the morning for the much more in-depth reaction show.